Your dad passed yesterday.
How'd he die?
Lung cancer.
Nice.
Hello, Adam.
Hey there. How are you, Pedro?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, good. My goodness, you're so well groomed.
I chose the shower today.
And we appreciate it because you smell very, very nice. And that's always important.
Glad it's coming through. That's funny. How are you doing?
I'm good. You're obviously in LA?
I'm actually in Bangkok, Thailand right now.
That's right. That they did tell me that. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. That's right. I was aware of that. Okay. And how's that?
It's crazy, man. Today I walked out of my trailer on the set, and it's like 2 feet deep of water. Like it's the rainy season here, so it's quite extraordinary walking through the streets barefoot like that.
Right. Shoes seem to be just sort of superfluous.
Yes, exactly. Only for show.
Yeah, I guess what you have to next time maybe is think about getting those waders. I think, are they called waders or something, where you're for people who do fly fishing in like creeks or rivers or what have you, and they're up
right. Yeah, I think the best thing we can do here is just tie water bottles around my ankles. That might be the Thai version of that.
And how's the food?
It's great. I love Thai food, so it's heaven for sure. But I've been here for a while, so
how long when did you get there?
I mean, they make you do a government enforced quarantine in a hotel for 2 weeks, but luckily
they 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. They changed the law actually while halfway through, so I only had to do 10 days actually. So that was fortunate. But
So
are you Austin based? I can't remember.
I'm in New York. I'm just north of New York City. I am not New York, Austin based, but I do know that that the film is about to play at the Austin Film Festival, which I'm also happen to be. I saw my dead dad at Woodstock, even though I watched it at home.
Yeah.
I live pretty close to there actually these days, even though I'm a New Yorker.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I saw it there. Just coincidentally, it's at the Austin Film Festival, which I'm gonna, I'm trying to support a lot of these types of film festivals because they're so lovely, and people behind them are so doing such great work. So I feel like it's a help to get the word out, and also because so many of them are doing hybrids or virtual festivals, then anybody can experience the festivals in some manner now, which before it might have been much more difficult because they'd have to travel to the festival physically. Right. And interestingly, at Mill Valley, I was going to try to sneak that in too, but I didn't have the time. It was just a very busy time up here leading up to that, and I just couldn't make it work this year, but maybe next year.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it seems like the online components are probably going to stick around for a while. I mean,
and I think, like I was talking to the guy who runs New Fest, which is the LGBTQ festival up here in New York City. And he's like, we'll never go back, because especially for a festival like that, where, you might have places all over the country where they're never going to have an LGBTQ festival. But now that it's virtual, people that might have a vested interest in those types of films have access to it, and they can participate in a festival like that. So there is a strong imperative for to continue virtual festivals, but I do miss going.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I wonder if Outfest has an online component. I don't know when that is.
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, but right, especially the I don't even know if you can call it a niche festival necessarily, but say it's a niche festivals, that really is a great thing about them, and is that, you know, people from all over the world, I mean, potentially. Many films might have regional limitations, but, you know, in terms of distribution.
Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Sorry about that.
Hi, Fabio.
I got my wires crossed.
Me too, but I still showed up.
What's up, Adam? How are you?
Good. Nice to meet you, Fabio.
You too. I
Nice
like
to
your
meet you
layout
both.
there. It's a very professional mic.
Oh, I know, but it's a prop. It's merely a prop. Doesn't do anything.
Oh, it's not on.
Actually, I have
Well, you could have fooled me.
the dirty secrets behind the podcasting, you know, world. I got a cleaner audio from another mic, so but this gives me the appearance of being legit.
I like it.
That's great.
It's what the film world's all about, right? Is fooling people.
Right. Yeah. It's all like magic behind the curtain type
Exactly.
of people pulling levers and
Yep.
what have you. Well, I'm so glad to have you both. You know, Mitch Swan, who I just like saying his name, is you know, your publicist. He I already knew about My Dead Dad because I was already attending the Woodstock Film Festival where you guys had your world premiere. And so I was curious about the film, and then he reached out. Oh, and he said, "Do you want to talk to Fabio?" Fabio, I said, "Sure, that sounds good." But get me Pedro, for God's sake. What do you mean? And I guess he would have from the start, but Pedro turns out he's in Bangkok.
Yes.
And I don't know what time it is there. What time is it there, Pedro?
I don't know what day it is here, but it's looking like 10:38 p.m.
Oh, that's civilized.
Yes, it's not bad. We had an interview last night where I was doing it at 3:30 in the morning, so this is a big upgrade. I'm feeling leisurely. Yes.
Well, I'm glad. I don't know. Just because it's 10:30 doesn't mean that your internal clock. But you said you've been there for a few weeks because you had to. You're working on a film and you had to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yes.
Prior to the shoot.
Yes, it was quite the test. Actually, it wasn't that bad for me, to be honest. Everyone else was like, "Can you believe that?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was great. They're delivering food. No one's bothering me. It's perfect."
Yeah.
Like, what?
What do you do? What can I ask you in terms of what you can share? What you do in the hotel for those 2 weeks, other than eating?
Oh, just a glamorous life of an indie producer. You know, getting all this set up. There's a lot to do in the festival world. You come to learn.
And this film,
you think the festival world's going to be this like fun celebration. Yeah. And then it just ends up being like a ton of work. It's awesome to see the movie with the audience for sure, but it's definitely not like the leisurely vacation that one might imagine.
Right. Well, I was just going to ask you if on My Dead Dad, the musical comedy that you guys made, did you co-wrote the movie together? Obviously, co-wrote it. Yep. And did you, Pedro? Did you also co-produce, or?
I did produce. Yep,
okay.
I produced alongside Tara Ansley, but I am the producer from the beginning and the bitter end.
So right, but you co-wrote it with Fabio, so you didn't hire him per se. You collaborated. This is a complete collaboration between the two.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Pedro and I had known each other for a while. We'd never written
did
together.
A short together a while ago, right?
Yeah, we actually met through another friend of mine and Pedro's more of a dramatic actor, but he can be very funny as well. They met in Groundlings, the improv thing. Pedro was just kind of doing it for fun.
Wait, wait. So Pedro, you were in the Groundlings, but just for fun?
Yeah, it's not very fun, but that was the idea.
Of course,
he wasn't in like the top troupe. That takes like 10 years of.
No, I was in the beginger class. Okay. My teacher probably hated me. That's okay.
The lower level of the pyramid scheme. I mean, I got you.
Yeah, we're gonna need $500 more for you to retake the course to graduate you to level 2.
You're right. Oh, wait a minute, I'm getting a call from them all of a sudden. That's odd.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and Pedro had known each other for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years at that point, and we hadn't really, after that short Expros, we hadn't really seen each other that much. Just life happens, and we were both in. I was in LA on Christmas, and pretty much all of my other friends, because when you're kind of newer to the industry, all your friends, they go home for Christmas, So I was just kind of feeling like a little bit bored, and I wanted to see who was in town, and Pedro was in town. So we were like, as a joke, we went to the SAG Christmas party, which was like the meekest buffet of all time.
It's like the closest thing you can get to the DMV, like having
a
party.
They ran out of food before like even half the people could eat.
So wait, they don't even have access to craft services?
They do, but they're just cheap because SAG is a Ponzi scheme that's starting to fall apart.
Oh dear. So now we've alienated the groundlings and
SAG.
The SAG,
which Pedro and I are both members of, by the way.
Right.
So anyways, but we just met that night, and I was joking around because Pedro had a new apartment. We met there, and he showed it to me, and I was joking around about how, like, it seems like in California, like, the least qualified people ever always somehow seem to become landlords. It's almost like a natural rule out here. And and then I was like, wouldn't it be funny if like a young guy with no business managing an apartment complex inherited one from his dad, And then we just went about and had a great night. But then Pedro hit me up like a week or 2 later and told me he was still thinking about the idea, and that something kind of similar almost happened to him in real life. His dad survived, but it brought them close together.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was 14 or so, I hadn't heard from my dad in a really long time. My parents were divorced, and one day he called me from across the country, or the world actually. He was living in Peru at the time, and he was like, "Hey, I have lung cancer. I'm dying. I have this apartment. You're going to need to take care of it." And I was 14 at the time, being like, completely overwhelmed. And also I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not legal, but okay. And then in real life, luckily, he got his lung surgically removed and survived by a sliver of fate. And we kind of reconnected a little bit when I was an adult. But so there's a lot of personal aspects in the movie that come from that as well.
Yeah, this isn't a very big opportunity to get very sentimental movie like this. And a lot of movies that have had similar themes or structure to them have gone that way. And it's kind of satisfying. However, this film really lacks completely sentimentality. I mean, obviously it's a coming of age to, which I think even in my age, I'm having a coming of age, but yeah, I'd say that your character Lucas, is it Lucas?
That's right. Yeah.
He's pretty he's got a pretty fiberglass type of shell to it, like to him. And so there is a much slower burn going on, or to where he starts to loosen up and soften up. It's earned, is my point. It's earned by the time he does, and I'm very also hey, Stephen Bauer's in the movie. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
By the way, who I always like seeing, and maybe was Scarface was maybe what made, and he's on that. What's the series? Ray.
He was on Ray Donovan.
Ray Donovan, of course.
He just I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but whatever. Go
ahead, say it. He
just shot like a day or two on one of the Breaking Bad spinoffs that should be coming out in the next year or so.
One of them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know which one, but you know how they're doing all the spinoffs now. Yeah. I don't even know. I don't know any more details. I just know.
I only know that one thing I've heard, which is I think that the Groundlings are going to be cast in one of these spinoffs.
Yeah, he was actually my Groundlings teacher. No, I'm kidding. But I actually, what I'm not kidding about is he is an amazing improviser, and that was something that Fabio and I were both pleased to learn because we really like improv. There was moments on set that I could only describe as like doing acid at like a jazz festival with Stephen Bauer. You know, like he's just rocket fire. You know, he understood the character so well, and we would run so far off the page, but still somehow come back, and it was just such a blast to shoot with him.
Yeah, he stayed in character in between takes, which was funny.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Out of his commitment to the craft, or
I just think it was
to F with you guys.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But he was definitely having fun with it, which is good for that character, you know?
Right.
Yeah, Steven's awesome. I don't remember if we got him first or Raymond first, but we went out to them around the same time. And we had lunch with both of them. But I remember we had lunch with Steven at Osteria Mama, which is like one of my favorite restaurants and it's really close to Pedro's house. So we just walked over there, and I just knew the second that like we got done with that lunch that he was the right guy for the role. It just seemed like a perfect fit. And he just, you know, Steven's one of those guys who's been in the industry for a long time and could be like a bitter, jaded person and isn't. So those kind of people to me are always like a breath of fresh air, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and then, or if they're not jaded, they kind of take themselves too seriously, perhaps.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And Raymond's the same way, man. Like
Raymond Garcia, who plays the
Raymond Cruz.
Excuse me. Let me rephrase. Don't correct me on my podcast, by the way. Raymond Cruz. Sorry, Raymond. Well, I should have invited. I feel badly now. But maybe it's good because I would have said the wrong last name. Lo siento. Is that how you say? Thank you. Oh yeah, Pedro. So Raymond plays the landlord. So Pedro Lucas, your character, as we mentioned, his father has died, and they were estranged, and Pedro inherits the apartment building, and Raymond plays the super, I guess, and at first, of course, you're just an angry, bitter kid who doesn't want to have anything to do with this building, and he's kind of your, I don't know, spirit mentor, or he develops into it. Like I don't know how, a spiritual mentor or something, like, you know, guiding you back to a place of maybe I don't know, forgiveness and peace. And it's a nice, correct. Yeah, it's great. What were we saying about it?
Well, I was just saying that Raymond is not one of those guys who, you know, he's been around the blocks. You know, he started acting when he was like 19 because he grew up in East LA, and he's like in his 50s now, you know, but he's still like a normal guy, you know. In his free time, he like works on cars and stuff. He doesn't really like hang out with a lot of other industry people, which to me is like very refreshing, you know. And you know, I've been hanging out with him a little bit, like at the Woodstock Film Festival. He came out to support. And
which one?
At Woodstock.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm sorry.
So
I was there, but I think I missed you guys.
Don't worry. There was a whole day where it was just, because we had our first screening on Friday and our second one on Sunday. There was a whole day on Saturday where me and Raymond just like drank coffees and like talked about cars and watched movies, which was super cool. You know,
if he was less laid back about his career, maybe he'd get more of the roles that Luis Guzman is getting. You know, like that guy gets way too much work.
But you know, we actually originally wanted to get Luis Guzman for Uncle Tommy. Was one of our choices.
No, I don't blame you.
Yeah, but I feel like Steven was actually ended up being better fit.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. I think he plays, I'll tell you why, because I think, yes, for the bravado, either guy is great, but for the vulnerable side, which comes out towards the end of his part of the film, you know, I don't know, he there was something very affecting about that performance, which, you know, I'm not saying Guzman couldn't have done, but
the desperation.
Now nailed.
Yeah.
So it's the name of the film is My Dead Dad. I don't understand the reference, but no, I kid. It was it had its world premiere at the Woodstock Film Festival. It was at the Mill Valley Film Festival, at some festival that in Buffalo. That sounds dubious to me, and it's going to be at the Austin Film Festival, which is a great festival, and it's going to be perfect.
It's kind of weird because typically festivals usually get into like the biggest one first, and then you do kind of the smaller ones after. But our film's been interesting because we got into Woodstock, then we got into Mill Valley, then we got into Austin, and I don't know. We're learning, you know, because it's our first feature, that like a lot of the dogma about like the film world is actually not really true. Like, you know, one of the things is like never give away your premiere, you know what I mean? But like if you have a good movie, like Austin's a pretty big festival, you know, and very respected. They were like, whatever, it's a good movie. You don't, you know what I mean? It's okay that you already premiered. And we were like, what? I've heard my whole life that you can't give away the premiere. And it's like, the film world's so funny, man, because it's like,
I know.
It's like the people who do don't have time to teach, and the people who don't do have plenty of time to teach and like spread a lot of like misinformation, you know?
Well, my feeling is also premiere now. I mean, you know, you can call the your SoCal premiere as opposed to your Northern Cal.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, east of the Mississippi premiere, the upstate New York premiere. I mean, it doesn't matter. I think especially the film festival. What would you call it? Culture or sphere has just
ecosystem.
So say again.
The film festival ecosystem.
Yeah, well, it's got. I feel like William Shatner, but it's grown to such a degree. But it's like it's there's so many festivals that have popped. I mean, in the last 10, 20 years, obviously you've seen an explosion. Yeah. They're filling in gaps, you know, especially for the independent film, of course, like yours, where distribution has gotten a lot trickier and complicated, where it used to be you put it in a movie theater, then it goes on a video set, and then but now it's gotten so film festivals really have picked up. So every town has a local film festival. So how are you supposed to really be how can you control where your film is going to premiere all the time? Obviously, you hold out for certain things if you can. You know, certain festivals that will go unmentioned. But anyway. Yeah. So anyway, if you're in the if you don't have to be in Texas to see it, because I'm sure it's virtual, the Austin Film Festival.
Yeah, they have a virtual
or hybrid
as well. Yeah.
So people can go. It's going to be, but it's going to have its in-person screening on October. I wrote this down. October 22nd at 7:15 p.m. Central, I guess. Time. Yes. Go to the film festival. And then do you have any other information you want to share at this time about the film? Or
well, I mean, on October 22nd at 7:15 CDT, we will be doing a live Q&A as well. So you can see it online. Guess what? You can't see us do a little live Q&A. So in that theater, baby.
Yeah, we're trying to get Raymond and Steven to come out for Austin, which would be awesome.
Yeah,
we're still ironing out the details, but
good luck with
I wanted to ask you, Adam, so you were at Woodstock in person, and
I did go for one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and but where did you end up actually seeing the film?
A little closer to where I'm sitting now. Let's put it that way.
Okay, you got a screener. Okay, nice.
I did, yeah. I mean, it's the only way to assure that I'm gonna, see everything. And I actually, but I have a really nice, screen
setup. Yeah. Well, I'm curious, just to flip the script on you, if that's okay. Like, what kind of I mean, I told Pedro when we were making it, I was like, look, we're not going to make a perfect movie because it's just not in our budget, and we almost have to embrace that and just try to embrace the grittiness and the imperfection and try to put some heart in there or something special. So what kind of are your perceptions of it after having watched it? What do you think makes it kind of good? Not that it's perfect, but what makes it good?
Well, you can describe it as perfect, but it's, well, I think I already mentioned the one thing that I like, that it didn't get too sentimental, but it earned its breakthrough, which I thought the pacing really worked in that regard.
Yeah.
The tone wise, it was also very good. I mean, there is humor in the film, and there's some, very nice moments. Everything doesn't go, it's not predictable. I appreciate that. like, you know, there's obviously a love interest, which that storyline, without giving away any details, doesn't really, right? Pedro doesn't go exactly the way you would assume in a rom-com the way it would. You know, I mean, it works out on some level, I suppose, for the character, but you know, maybe not in a second way, you know, the long term or what have you. But again, I don't want to. So, you know, it's those kinds of choices as a writer, I guess, you guys, that I can respect you guys doing.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Kind of going grappling with the reality of the way people actually do behave, and but making it, you know, still an entertaining movie. I think Pedro holds the screen. I think you've got well, you've been in plenty of films or TV, and so you're obviously very comfortable with your relationship with the camera at this point.
Oh, is the camera on right now?
Pedro actually cries every time he sees the camera. We had a design special, like one-way mirrors, so he didn't see the camera.
Yeah, I didn't even actually know we were shooting the whole time. Fabio was just wearing a GoPro.
I told him it was a 5-week test shoot, so he wouldn't be too nervous.
Somebody's buzzing my door. Hold on one second, guys.
Okay.
This is kind of rude. Hold on.
Okay.
Thailand.
All right, guys. The
round
right over there. Yeah, you'll see a crack there. There's a window.
Adam, you're getting swatted.
What's that?
You're getting swatted.
Swatted?
Yeah, I'm kidding. You know what that is?
No.
It's like
called it SWAT.
You know, like the Twitch streamer kind of universe. Like
yeah. Oh, okay. I do need to know more, but I do need to check it out because, you know, I play with the idea of going live and doing this and that.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say? So it's
what happens is
Twitch thing, right?
Like some hackers will figure out the person's IP and address, and they'll call the SWAT team and be like, "There's a guy in here with a gun and like 2 hostages," and then the SWAT team will like kick down their door live. It's a horrible, very immoral practice.
Yeah, it's actually terrible.
Well, I'm glad that you shared it though. With
so don't give away your address.
Yeah. So prepare yourself in about 15 minutes.
Hope not. Let's make a pact when you guys have a distribution. When you have your distribution in place, let's do a part 2 because I really would love to. Maybe we can bring on Raymond.
Yeah.
Or what's his face, Bauer. And anybody else. I know when you're ready to premiere the film. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Appreciate it. We got a lot more stories.
Oh yeah.
The making of the movie was definitely a messy affair, but you can't tell on screen, I hope.
No, it's a very realized film. I'm going to urge people to go to the Austin Film Festival website and check it out, all the details for the film, get tickets, and if you're in the, if you're in the little blue spot in Texas called Austin, go see My Dead Dad, directed by Fabio Frey.
That's right. Yes, Frey.
And starring Pedro Correa.
Ooh,
Correa.
Gave it to me on the second one. Correa. Yeah, baby.
Correa. Gracias, hombres. And I look forward to part 2.
Yeah, man. I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
I'm glad you enjoyed the film.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. Cool. Well,
all right,
I'm sure we'll see you around then.
All right. Have a great evening. Safe travels to Pedro and have a good day ahead.
Yeah, man. Fabio. Thanks, dude. Have a great one yourself.
Bye. All right. See ya.
Bye.
I wonder if he's gonna just put this up live or it's gonna edit it down. I honestly hope so. That'd be dope. Shit, you got that Chang water. Got that Chang water right here. That Chang beer over there. I didn't know they do water. Me neither. So funny. What kind of plugs do they use in Thailand?
All right, guys.